Yes, peace. Shalom. Giving honor and praise unto Yah, the creator of heaven and earth. We're going to go over what some may consider a sensitive topic. It's concerning the part one issue, we may say, or the part eight issue of the debates, the understandings, the misunderstandings, sometimes unfortunately arguments between the Hebrew Israelite brothers and the Kemetic science brothers. And me, myself, being first and foremost an Israelite, I have to deal with this with an open mind and not tunnel vision. I can't deal with it under the premise of saying that, well, I'm an Israelite, so everything that the Israelites had to say had to be 100% accurate. Can't do that. At the same time, not taking nothing away from being an Israelite, I am also a person of color. And knowing and understanding that many of the archaeologists that dug in, such as Breasted and some of these other ones, they did not even like black people, though they were digging and raiding black tombs and so forth and so on. So an open mind and being objective has to be known and understood. And what I'm about to say, I mean no disrespect intended to the scholar John Herrick Clarke. But one of the things he stated that I want to speak upon, that he stated something to be emphatically incorrect. He stated that when the Western Asiatic people went into Egypt, that they had no culture, no language, and they basically got everything from Egypt and then left. Emphatically, that is incorrect. Everybody has their own culture that's indicative to their own self. So to sit there and state that when the Western Asiatic people went into Egypt, or as he stated as Africa, that's where they learned culture and manners and so forth from, and language, that's emphatically incorrect. Now, another issue, some people unfortunately think that Abraham in the Bible was the only person that is of the Hebrew people that went into the land of Egypt. That's emphatically also incorrect. No Hebrew record states such. Unfortunately, some Israelites do state that Abraham was the first Hebrew to be in the land of Egypt itself. That's not accurate. In order to understand who the Hebrews were, you have to understand that Hebrews itself was a term that was used for a conglomerate of different people. Okay? So now another issue in the term Hyksos. All right? Hyksos is a Greek word meaning shepherd kings. And in Egyptian, that same term that's said as Hyksos in Greek is said as the Haiku Shoswet. Haiku Shoswet, or Hekakasu, said by some, means rulers of foreign lands. So these rulers of foreign lands were not distinguished as to their actual identity themselves. You understand? So they could have been Babylonian, they're still Hyksos. Kassite, still Hyksos. Akkadian, still Hyksos. Philistine, the sea peoples that went in, still Hyksos. You understand? When you go into Egyptian records itself, you read about the Pharaoh Kamos of Dynasty 17. And when he spoke about the unification between the people who were called the Hyksos later in history and the people that the Egyptians themselves refer to as Tasati. Tasati in the Bible is referred to as Cush. Cush is the Ethiopian of today. So what Pharaoh Kamos in the writings of Dynasty 17, he stated that he sits between the Asiatic in the north and the Ethiopian in the south, and each of them are taking their part of the land of Sematawi, or the land of Egypt. And he set forth after his father Sennacherib did in trying to expel the Hyksos. There were in history two different waves, we may say, of Hyksos. One being in Dynasty 17 of Egypt, and which they referred to as the rule of Mentuhotep the first and second. And then you had the second wave of the Hyksos infiltration into Egypt during the rulership of the rulers of Dynasty 12. And that's why, Dynasty 13. And that's why in Dynasty 12 they built what they refer to as, stated in the other teachers I've done concerning this matter, the walls of the prince, also known as the walls of the ruler, to repel the Set-Yu, also known as the Amu. Set-Yu and both Amu are Egyptian terms referring to the people of Asiatics. So now another term that many people are familiar with of the Egyptians is the term Shasu or Shoshu. And that term in Egyptian literally means those who move on foot. So the Egyptians had different national names or political names for those who are not of their own people. Some of them being Haiku Soswet, Shasu, Setyu, Amu. So these people who were called those different names had their own languages, their own cultures, and their own identities to themselves. So in speaking upon this, a lot of times many people just gravitate to the Egyptian this and the Egyptian that without giving respect to the fact that there were other people on the earth besides the people of Sematawi. Sematawi in Egyptian meaning the unification of the two lands. This is what they refer to as the red and white crown, which they refer to of the unification of northern and southern, what we call today Egypt. Now, another issue, and to speak about this matter, brothers and sisters, is the fact that Egypt is Egypt and Africa is Africa. All Africa is not Kemet. Furthermore, it was pronounced as Kemet in the ancient days of those Egyptian people. And that is due when the Eteru, also known today as the Nile, had an overflow during what we call today the month of July through August, or July through October, actually. And they had it to where the residue that was left on the land was referred to as the Black Land. You understand? So certain things such as that has to be known and understood. Now, many times in this controversial issue between the Hebrew Israelite brothers and those of the Kemetic science is this. When the Hebrew Israelite brothers ask those of the Kemetic science, do you, brother, state that you are from the line of the pharaohs? Do you state that you are the Egyptian people? Sometimes some of them may say yes, sometimes some of them may say no. So what those who say no actually are doing, they have made a religion of the ancient Egyptian culture and try to then get at Hebrew Israelite brothers by saying, show us the tomb of Josiah, or show us the tomb of Solomon, or the tomb of David, or the tomb of Hezekiah, or the tomb of Ezekiel, or the tomb of Jeremiah. And so what has to be known and understood is that Hebrew culture, just like a lot of our people's black culture today, you don't want to dig up your great-great-great-grandmother. And it's actually disrespect. Now, if you look into the Egyptian culture, they had from the new kingdom of Egypt, starting in Dynasty 18, they had what they call the list of what they call the principles of Ma'at. And 39 principle of the 42 principles of Ma'at, it states, I have not violated the deceased. So if the people were saying that they have not violated the deceased to in the Egyptian culture now, not taking nothing away from me being a Hebrew Israelite, but in the Egyptian culture, they had what they refer to in their culture as the opening of the mouth. And that was referred to as letting the spirit of the other side of the world go into you and you go into the other side when you have deceased. And so, according to Egyptian culture, that you stood before Tehuti and Anubis. And in that, inside the Egyptian culture, you had to state certain principles. One of those principles is, I have not violated the deceased. So now, since it was actually a taboo thing, even inside of Egyptian culture, even inside of the culture of Tomeri, to even sit there and deal with the dead, why? Well, brothers, ask the Hebrew Israelites to show us, or to show anybody, the tomb of David, Solomon, Josiah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, so forth and so on. You was never supposed to find, brothers and sisters, the tomb of Ramses. Thutmose the First, who was one of the greater kings in Dynasty 18, he said in his writings what he wanted to do. He built what they refer to as, in history, one of their greatest temples. And it's called the Valley of the Kings. And in what is referred to as the Valley of the Kings, brothers and sisters, it was made to have all the pharaohs to be buried for those who wanted to have them buried in there. And it was guarded and protected. Let it be known and understood that today, 2014, the only reason why people are even able to get into Egyptian records, the only reason why is because the true Egyptians are not there to protect their records. The true Egyptians, brothers and sisters, was pushed out of the land of Egypt by the Arabs, starting with the era of the guy Abu Bakr. And when you go into a book called The Arab Invasion of Egypt by Alfred Butler, he gets into that subject pretty much entailed. And so the true people of the Egyptians went into what we call today as the Sudan. Now in history, the true history of the Israelites, they went into what we call later into Western Africa. The author Rudolf Windsor in his book Babylon and Timbuktu speaks of that. Now, another subject to speak upon concerning the debates or the discussions between brothers into the Kemetic science and Hebrew Israelites is that you have it to where Hebrew Israelites are asked, Well, show us your DNA test or take the DNA test. For a black man to ask another black man in this day and time with all the diseases that doctors give people, oops, we didn't mean a flu shot to kill you. You are out of your mind to ask any black man under any understanding so-called religious, so-called dogma and culture and nationality claim. You are out of your mind as a man of color in this society to ask another man of color to go to a doctor. Mind you, the word pharmacy comes from the Greek word for witchcraft. You are out of your mind to ask another brother to go and have his blood tested by these demons. You are sick in the head. But for clarification purposes, there is actually a video that's done in which a sister did a DNA test, and 4 different times she got 4 different answers. Because the way the DNA test is done is they go by both mother and father. So you got 2 parents on your mom's side and 2 parents on your dad's side. Then of those 2 parents on your dad's side, you got 2 on the grandfather's side and 2 on the grandmother's side. So by the time now you get into what we understand now, brothers and sisters, as the 1700s, we talking over 1,000 something people. And so what they do with the DNA test is they sit there and say, oh, okay, well, this one sounds like you, and this one seems to be you, and that one seems to be you, and so forth and so on. Brothers and sisters, the DNA test is garbage. It's a money-making scheme. A lot of people found out that to be the case after they done spent their money upon it. Another issue concerning the issues or the arguments, unfortunately, between the Hebrew Israelite brothers and those into the Kemetic science, as stated previously in this discussion here or in this presentation here for the video, is that many of those into the Kemetic science just claim the Kemetic science. So now when Egypt in history falls to Cambyses in the 6th century BCE, brothers into Kemetic science can wash their hands and say, well, we ain't true Egyptians anyway. We just claim something that's black because it sounds nice. The buildings look nice. The pictures look nice. The women inside the walls of Medinet Habu look beautiful. So, hey, those are sisters. So what you've done is you looked at the actual physicality of a people and said, they're black, I'm black, so that must be me. And of all of the places in Africa, brothers and sisters, correct me if I'm wrong, there is, and I quote, not one in there that refers, I'm talking slower for a reason, that refers to themselves as claiming the ancient Egyptian culture. Whereas you can go and speak to people of the Igbo that will tell you that they come from the land of Israel. You can speak to the people of God that live in the land of Togo that speak about them coming from the land of Israel. You can speak to people of the Ashanti that tell you that they come from the people of Israel. Let that be understood. So, in concluding this particular subject, this is going to be part 1 of a part 2. Need to stop the debating. Need to stop the arguing. Need to stop the contention. And let's get history in true focus. Shalom.